I'm going to talk about PDF, more or less a deep dive into PDF possibilities, things that are unused or that could be used in a more enjoyable way, depending on your definition of enjoyable. So this talk is mostly for non-technical or non-detail-oriented users. So hence the disclaimer, there is no such thing as a PDF. It's a collection of specs. Every one of them has its own quirks and strengths, and the details are, for the most part, irrelevant for the purposes of this talk. In fact, some of the things have been purposefully represented to be more straightforward than they are in reality. So let's start. So this section, I'll give you a brief overview of PDF, again focusing on the easy part. Afterwards, we'll get to the fun part. So PDF, like any programming language, has primitive types, collection types, and a binary type. So you can represent things like strings, booleans, numbers, names, arrays and dictionaries, and some binary data. So if you wanted to include an image, a font, or something, that's doable. At the heart of a PDF is the cross-reference table, usually found at the back, and it maps numbers to a byte offset. If you've ever opened a PDF in Notepad or similar and you've accidentally changed one byte, you will have noticed that you were screwed. And that's because of our beautiful friend, the cross-reference table. The trailer can be found directly underneath the cross-reference table, and it's where the document starts. It's where all of the information can be found. Information dictionary and root are linked there. The root then links us back to pages, which is also known as catalog. And then pages contains a list of kids, and kids is an object of type page, which has these attributes in order to render it, in order to render the images and fonts inside of it. Now, contents itself is a compressed stream of postfix operators, and it's sort of like a programming language. It will tell you, go to these specific coordinates, use this particular font, use that particular color, and draw a string. What about images? Well, they usually end up in the resources section of a page, and the postfix syntax is roughly insert this image here. What about tables and lists? In the most basic use case, if you're not using a tagged PDF, then the document itself has no idea which content belongs together. In fact, if you look at the most common implementation of tables, it's simply draw a line here and here, insert some text there, and that's about it. Now, there are ways of mitigating that. That is not the topic of this talk. Now, let's get to some fun stuff. So now that we have an appreciation for the raw material, let's look at what we can build. But first, a disclaimer. The features here are usually not supported by every PDF library. They are certainly not supported by every PDF viewer, and some of them are definitely not meant to be used in this particular way. Then again, it wouldn't be fun stuff if it was. So this is a first probably copyright violation image, and it's a link annotation fun. So link annotations allow you to travel through the document. If you click them, you will end up on a particular destination. It will force the reader, by that I mean the viewing software, to go to that page at a specific zoom level or whatever. You can reuse that. So this particular image was created using only tiny little squares of link annotations. So clicking that image in a random place will guide you to a random location in the document. It's sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure kind. Well, I said it was going to be fun. What else can you do? Well, I love audiobooks, and PDF is one of those formats that, oddly enough, supports that. So if you wanted to, you could include audio in a particular page. Now, this is not going to include a live demo of that particular functionality. I'm not insane enough to try opening a random PDF on a laptop that I don't know with a version of Adobe that I don't know in advance. So trust me, there is sound. Now, if you can have sound, why not go all the way and have video as well? This is also perfectly doable. You don't come across that in the wild, but you can. And it's a shame that you don't, because you could have instructional videos on how to assemble your IKEA furniture if you download the booklet. That would solve a lot of things. A lot of premature divorces, for one. Now, continuing along that line, you can have a 3D model embedded in the PDF. You can animate this model using JavaScript. You can zoom in on it. You can hide and show components of it. And again, you could develop this into something beautiful. You could send somebody a PDF containing not just content for them to print on a classic printer, but also on a 3D printer. And yet we don't see that very often. I'm sure there is some specific industry that does this and some particular company that does, but it's not commonly accepted or done. Lastly, in terms of very crazy functionality, you can embed JavaScript in PDF. So this is an example of a calculator that actually works. You can press those buttons and it will behave like an ordinary calculator. You can do even more crazy stuff with JavaScript. There was a time when you could force Adobe to print the current PDF, and they wouldn't check. They would just go ahead. Right now, that is, of course, protected, and it will show a pop-up saying, do you really want to do this? Which is a shame. But not every reader is Adobe, and I'm sure that there are still some fun things to be had. Now, sadly, JavaScript, as fun as it is, there is no clear documentation on what particular parts of JavaScript are supported, and it is certainly not easy to transport one PDF file to another from one reader to another. So at some point, somebody decided to make Breakout in PDF, which works. You can actually move the pad, the ball will bounce with physics and so on. It's awesome. But it only works in your browser, so it only accepts that particular reader. If you open it in Adobe, it will just crash. Now, another popular fun thing, you can add embedded files in a PDF. This is useful if we're talking about things like adding the original data for a scientific paper that you were doing, adding images in high resolution, things like that. Or you can build yourself a little treasure map escape room. So for instance, in this document, I've hidden another PDF as its attachment because you can. And this document goes, let's see, about 6 levels deep, going by the tabs in Adobe. There's no real limit. You can password protect these documents, even the inner documents, so that when somebody wants to open the attachment, Adobe will say you need to enter a password. So you can really build your own crypto puzzle by having them enter a password at every level. Now, if we're talking about hiding stuff in PDF, you can just look at the PDF in a notepad. I know some people enjoy that. And you can hide ASCII art in it. Again, no limitation. I don't know of any library that would reasonably allow you to do this, but we are beyond the realm of reason at this point. So what can we learn from all of this? The PDF spec allows so much more than what we see in the wild. So typically, we see text, images, and maybe signatures. And I'm being very lenient if I say signatures and not just somebody inserting a handwritten font with give your initials here. There is still a lot of work to do to make sure that all of these features get adopted and that all of these features are even known by the people who actually use PDF. To most people, PDF is boring. PDF is the format in which we receive invoices, in which we receive news about our family's blood work, or in which we receive a boring menu from some QR code that we scanned. It's not an exciting document. And we, the PDF organization and ISO standard committee, have put technical debt first. So we support all kinds of images, all kinds of fonts, various compression and cryptographic methods, rather than thinking about what do users actually do with this, or what can we have people do with this? How can we offer people options. So through the eyes of the users, I think we have a case to make for making tagged PDF the standard. By that I mean a lot of programs by default, for instance a Microsoft Word, for instance LibreOffice, if you ask them to print something to PDF, they will give you the optimized version of it. They will optimize for PDF file size, which does not include beautiful things like tagging, which means that afterwards the document is illegible by any other computer. But we can go even further. We can include part of speech tagging, we can include natural language processing. If we do something like named entity recognition, suddenly we can say, okay, this person is referenced here. This document is about these people. We can support the GDPR. We can support the transgender community if ever a pronoun change is needed. We can link academic papers written by a person or written about a person. And we can go further. We can apply facial recognition. This is technology that's commercially available. And again, we could use it and we could support the GDPR even better. We could say this particular image in a PDF is a face. Do something about it. I think PDF has an image problem. Not in terms of technicality, but in terms of why are these features not widely known and why are they not widely used? Like I said, people typically receive unpleasant documents. And it should be easy to create beautiful documents. There should be examples online that tell you how to create something fun, fabulous, and insane with PDF, because it can be done. And tools to create PDF should offer useful features. Companies should support their users to make smarter choices. When somebody asks you, I want to optimize for file size, tell them that they are no longer living in the Stone Age. We buy file size in terms of terabytes. There is no reason to remove tagging. There is no reason not to do that.